Hello, Collab Design for Literacy Beauties. This is Marcos, and this is our week 14 to 15 video briefing as we are getting closer and closer to the end of our class. We've got another class, two more classes coming up, one more before our final reviews, and I want to make sure everybody is fully briefed and aware of everything that's needed. So let's dive into this. We are entering week 15 and the third part of our audio-visual storybook. And this is our production. It's called design completion here, but it's our production side of the project, the third part and final before we deliver final files and have our final review next week. So basically this week should be dedicated to producing your audio-visual stills into a MP4 that has sound and some, maybe music, maybe some sound effects, and has some visual effects that bring the story along with the sound and the narration into one experience in an audio-visual storytelling way. After week 15, we're going to meet, well, at week 15, we're going to meet in class to have those final reviews together as a class. And there'll be potentially some maybe additional revisions or finalizations to those audiovisual book presentations that you give. And then from there, you'll be one more, I'm going to add one more part 4 to this, which will be final files. And I want everyone to submit their, not only their MP4s, but their source files as their final turn in for this project, as well as our final reviews and being prepared for that by creating a deck for our final week where you will present all 3 of your projects, your baby board book, your storybook, and your audiovisual storybook into one presentation. We'll have a review session here in my office, and I'm going to have 6 or 7 or so guest judges here. We're going to set up the photo shoot room into a table with 4 computer stations and a computer station here in this office, so 5 stations, and each of you will take turns and rotate around the different stations, giving your presentations to the various judges, who include design professionals and moms and kids as well. So it'll be a good range, some former students as well, who are design professionals now. And so you'll have a good range of ages, and just for sure, you're going to get a lot of great feedback, and it'll be really good practice for you to give these kind of speed presentations to each of the different judges. It's going to be a great time, and we'll have snacks and treats, of course. So be ready for that. And as we move along here, I want to make sure as you produce this, a couple of things that I want to make sure that you remember to do. One is be aware that we do have this this module or dashboard that's meant for the app that we're developing. And ideally, what I would like is for each of you to create both your MP4 that doesn't include this, it's just your files, and then to make a Figma prototype that has this in it so that it'll play as a prototype in your presentation, and that'll open up and close down, and it'll have your text in there. And then an important thing with the narration, I want to make sure that each of you starts off the audio part with the narration that states Dirt Book Presents, and then the title of your book, and then clarifying if you want to say, if it's a Chinese fable or Australian folklore, whatever it is, if you want to say what it is. And then also to give the credits. It could be the author credit of yourself or the famous author that you're taking this from, if it's one of those kinds of stories. And then the narration and the design credits as well. And then the narration credits if you want to do that as well. And then I want you to do the same thing at the very end. Repeat the same set of text, the credits and the title at the very end. And let me show you how that works here. So this is an example.
Dirt Read presents Can I Have a Cookie? Illustrated by Ashley Kim. Narrated by Ashley Kim and Annie Park.
So you can see that basically it started off with the dashboard in place. The dashboard faded away.
Can I Have a Cookie?
As
Illustrated
the
by
title
Ashley Kim.
came in with the motion.
Narrated by Ashley.
And then the full amount of credits were given. And then at the end of the story,
And she deserved a cookie. Can I have a cookie? illustrated by Ashley Kim, narrated by Ashley Kim and Annie Park.
So same thing at the end, as you can see. And
Dirt
then as
Reed
you go
presents
through
Can I Have a Cookie?
your
Illustrated by Ashley
the
Kim,
way you're going to produce and
narrated
create
by
your
Ashley
motion
Kim
graphics,
and Annie
follow
Park.
through on the plan that you
One
presented that we
summer's
talked
day, a
about.
young girl was
Of course,
thinking about
you can adjust it as you go through and begin to actually put this together as a moving file with sound. Don't feel necessarily trapped into what you said you would do. If it makes sense to change the technique or to do a different way of showing your imagery, or if you're learning the software more and more and you want to try more advanced ways of showcasing your illustrations or doing effects, then by all means do that. But if you just stick to this kind of simple panning across, fading in and out, going up and down, that's perfectly fine. That's a good solution. But I'm not against you doing advanced things and pushing your abilities to do motion graphics, particularly if that's something that is already in your skill set and you want to be able to make that a showcase for that particular aspect of your work.
She got up from her chair and followed the smell and saw her sister taking the cookies out of the oven. The cookies looked really.
So again, for narration, you can utilize your own voice. You can have a friend do it, like in this example, or you can utilize AI, which is pretty intriguing in terms of how you can customize and have a voice that's very specific to what you want your character to portray, the personality, the vibe you want them to have. So another example coming up here, this again shows the idea of starting with the dashboard, with the title, with the text. I'll play it now.
Persephone, adapted and illustrated by Blythe Graziano, narrated by Camille Sokoloff.
So
long ago, before the seasons existed, the earth was always flourishing. The sun was constantly shining, flowers and trees bloomed, and animals roamed the grassy meadows. In charge of the earth was
So again, for
Demeter,
this example,
the goddess of harvest
this
and
designer
fertility.
got a friend to do the
Demeter had a daughter
narration.
named Persephone.
They're utilizing
She
the
loved
pan
more than
through,
anything.
and then also
Persephone
just
was
doing some
beautiful
basic
and kind, and she was
images that
adored
come
by
in and
many.
out, and then going
One
back
of
to
her
the
admirers
pan,
was Hades, god of the underworld. He loved in the field with her
and then
friends.
some zoom
She
in
wandered
techniques
away.
like this, very
She looked down
simple.
and noticed a particular earth began to wither.
And
The
panning
skies
the other
turned gray
way.
as rain and snow fell to the ground. Dead. She was now tied to the underworld and was condemned to spend 1 month with Hades for every seed
Just
she
a
ate.
slow fade in of the
She
image,
revealed
then
his
followed
name.
by a
For
pan.
half the year,
And then at the
strength
end,
and compassion, often helping
we have the
mortals along
credits
their
again.
journeys. She always looked forward to her time with her mother and welcomed the joy of spring each year.
Persephone, adapted and illustrated by Blythe Graziano,
And you can,
narrated by Camille Sokoloff.
and a nice fade out there. That's very nice. So, and you can also just literally copy the same voice track and put it at the end if you want, or you can make it slightly different, which I think that was slightly different. And then another
Persephone.
example is you can, in this example, there's a little bit more of animation going on, a little bit more of kind of traditional, more, I'll call it cartoon kind of effects. So let's see this again, also with the beginning narration with the title credits.
We like to move. Written and illustrated by Malavika Srinivasan. Narrated by Kirtana Srinivasan.
And in this example, the student got her mother to do the narration, which is awesome.
Take your hands and clap, clap, clap.
So as you can see, that it is moving. It's still very basic, but there's not only the more kind of motion, but there's also the sound of the clap, using a sound effect of a clap, or probably most likely her own clapping being recorded.
Then touch your nose, just one tap.
Again, the nose
Give
effect, the sound.
each of your ears a gentle tug. Give someone next to you a little kiss. Nivasan. Narrated by Kirtana, illustrated by We Like to Move.
And at the end, the
Written
credits.
and illustrated by Malavika Srinivasan. Narrated by Kirtana Srinivasan. We like.
Okay, so those are some examples, and then you can find more examples, including those examples on the Google Drive. In this folder under class resources, there's a folder highlighted down here called audiovisual books, past projects, the center one here. And in there, there's a whole list of different MP4s from past classes. You probably already looked at them, but this might be a good time to look again under class resources in our regular folder. And then when you're working on this, first I have the latest part 3 Canvas assignment posted and ready to go. And please check that out. There's links to the Figma template, which I've invited everybody to, as well as links to both a video tutorial and a PDF tutorial that you can get information on how to utilize the Figma template. And I've also set up a Google Drive and a link to the Google Drive on the Canvas where we'll put our files for Thursday on part 3, audio visual storybook part 3 production. And then also utilize the Figma template to, if you can create the entire thing on here, or if you just want to access the text, the graphics for the dashboard. And if you're having trouble with the dashboard, then that's okay for now. Just stick to presenting your story without the dashboard. Worst case scenario, that's totally fine if you can't do it. It's just a way to make it look more real. But if you can't, it's okay for now at least, and maybe we can try for next week. But you should all have access to this Figma template online, as well as the tutorials that are on the Google Drive. And this is a screenshot of the movie that has a former student explain how to use it, and then just a PDF version, as well as all the past versions on the Google Drive. Okay, so one last thing, class evaluations, I believe, are out now. So please, it doesn't have to be this week. In fact, I almost prefer that it be during the afterglow of the final class, where you've completed your projects, you have your 2 books in your hand and your digital book in your pocket, and you have completed the class and you have the full experience of the final review session. And you're feeling really good about the class. You give really high scores and really good comments. But anytime you want to do it, it's fine with me. I just really would like to get as close to 100% participation as possible. I'm going to make a checklist in our final review, and that will be on the checklist. And I'm going to ask everybody to check that off because you went online and gave your feedback and your scores. I mean, I'm giving you guys feedback all the time. I'm giving you guys grades. And I want to make sure that I get feedback from you so I can learn about how to make the class better or how to keep it from being worse by doing something that is not working. So do share the positive and the negative, but keep it more positive than negative, please. But anything you want to share, in fact, you don't even have to wait to put it on the evaluation forms. You can talk to me directly if you want to share something as well. I'm always open for that. So keep that in mind for one of the things to do. And as we near the end of class, we have 2 more weeks left, or less than 2 more weeks now. So please be sure that you're keeping up with getting the assignments completed as asked for. And also, very important, please make sure you are putting your files on the Google Drive. That'll cost you points if you don't have a file up there that you posted for the assignment. Like, that's a big part of the assignment, because I'm not going to grade on how cool or not cool, or whether it's my favorite font or my favorite color, all those subjective things. I'm going to grade. Most of the grading is based on just, are you able to follow through on the instructions, provide what's asked for in a timely way, and or if you've communicated and found alternate ways to get that grade. So if you're missing a class, please contact me to make up for that class by having a quick Zoom session, and we can make up for that class and get the full points. So it's in your hands. I'm leaving the A making machine, is turning it over to you to bring back all the supplies and inputs needed for the A making machine to burst out a beautiful golden A for all of you and each of you. And those of you that are behind, you need to contact me to work out a plan to make sure we get as many points as possible, and that you don't get a very low, embarrassing grade that is not reflective of your true talents. That's about making sure that you connect with me and follow through and get as tidied up of a final turn in as possible. Okay. All right, everybody. So reach out to me if you need any feedback. plan to be in class, full class session, our last session in the classroom, and then we're going to have the finals at my office here. Have a great week and stay very productive. And I'll say this one before we go, like, make sure you stay focused now. This is not a time to start new hobbies. This is not a time to start exploring new things in the city. This is a time to stay in your room, and work. This is not a time to have any drama in your life. Don't break up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. And do not start new relationships. For God's sakes, do not fall in love at this time. Wait 2 more weeks and then fall in love. For now, stay focused on what you're doing so that you can put together the best version of what you want and present yourself to the professionals and the kids and the families that we have here on our finals, so that you have a perfectly great experience and you come away with the best products possible. All right, everybody, we'll see you next week.